Hello everyone, I'm MVL and today we're going to be looking at the RAD2X HDMI cable for Nintendo systems. This is a fantastic cable and it supports every Nintendo system that has an AV multi-out. This includes the AV Famicom, which unfortunately I don't have. It also includes the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo 64, as well as the Nintendo GameCube as well. Plugging this in is really easy. First of all, you're going to want to put a HDMI mini into the HDMI slot. I actually have a HDMI mini to HDMI adapter, so I'm going to plug that into there and then plug in my HDMI to this as well. One of the great things is it doesn't need an external power, it just works. This goes into, on the GameCube, it'll go into the analog because it uses the analog video. Plug that into there and you're ready to go to capture some footage. Now I'm going to show you some capture footage. Now admittedly, for any non-HDMI footage, like the dreaded composite cable, I will be using a converter. I will be using the HD video converter, which sucks. I'm going to convert it to SCART and then to HDMI with this. And the reason for that is so that I can capture it with my Elgato HD60S capture card. I want this cable for better streaming and recording quality. So, without further ado, let's have a look at the RAD2X Nintendo cable in action and compare it to the regular video of the systems that I have available to me. I'm going to start by showing you regular composite video from a PAL Super Nintendo going through SCART and a HD video converter. I actually have RGB SCART cables for the Super Nintendo, but I wanted to stick to one cable per console and I wanted to show you the difference between composite and RGB from the RAD2X cable and show you the quality difference that you will see. My preferred way of playing these consoles normally would be RGB SCART through my CRT TV, but I wanted the RAD2X cable for streaming, and certainly it does a great job in getting that signal to HDMI. As you can see here, the composite video is a little blurry, so let's compare that to the RAD2X in action. Now the red power light turns on when a system is turned on, and then it will change to purple when it detects an RGB signal. And here is the RGB signal in action from the RAD2X cable. As you can see, the edges are a lot more refined, the picture is a lot clearer, and the colors are a lot better as well. Certainly this is a much better option for recording and streaming. It looks miles better than composite did through the HD video scaler that I had before. It looks fantastic and I really think this cable is going to do a great job at what I want it for, which is streaming, and I'm very happy with that. So let's compare composite and RGB from the RAD2X together, and you can certainly see a tremendous difference between the two cables side by side. The colors of the RAD2X are much more accurate and the video is a lot less blurry as well. Certainly you're getting a big benefit and a huge upside from the RAD2X cable quality. Now the cable also has a smoothing function, which I will show you right now. You can turn it on and that blue light will tell you that it is active. Now this is not my preferred way to play games, although you can see the effects of the smoothing in action. The edges are a lot less pixelated and smoothed over than they were before. But to me it kind of looks like you've blurred the image, and I do prefer the sharp look of the pixels, although this function does look better on 3D video. So now let's compare this to the RetroFreak, which is emulation, and this has been the way I have been streaming and recording games from cartridge systems like the Super Nintendo previously. Now the RetroFreak does look really good, but bear in mind that is emulation. So this isn't really a fair comparison, but I just thought I'd throw this in to show you all of the different options. Emulation has its own issues as well. Often you may have sound glitches and video problems from emulation that you wouldn't get with the original hardware. You may also experience sprite flicker, slowdown, and lag from emulation that you also wouldn't get with the original hardware. So now let's check out the Nintendo 64. This is going through composite, through SCART, through a HD video converter. And I'm playing on a PAL Nintendo 64, so it does not have S-Video out. Now, to be fair, S-Video on the Nintendo 64 isn't that big a jump from composite with the graphics of the Nintendo 64 that has a natural blur filter applied to it from the console anyway to smooth out those 3D graphics. So this is the best video I can get from the N64, that is my PAL UK N64, and it's because I have a PAL Nintendo 64 that I lean towards the RAD2X cable, because I can't take advantage of those other cables that only use S-Video. This is definitely my best option. So let's see the RAD2X cable in action. Now the light here will go from red to yellow to indicate it has detected composite video, and it will line double that. Although on my Elgato preview window it kind of looked a bit messed up, but it recorded fine. I believe the issue was with the Elgato recording software and only in the preview window. The Elgato actually recorded the footage absolutely fine. I was still using the Elgato and the RAD2X cable. It turned out perfectly fine. Also, I am now using OBS and the preview window is perfectly fine as well. So the cable works great, it's just some issue with the Elgato. So it did appear that my Elgato software couldn't handle the line doubling in the preview window, although this is the same Elgato recording, which it did perfectly fine. In OBS, the preview window was absolutely fine as well. So I'm not really sure what the issue is there, but it's definitely not the RAD2X, which looks fantastic. It was just the Elgato software. Naturally, going through the TV, as you saw, it will be absolutely fine with no issues whatsoever. Now, if my Nintendo 64 was RGB modded, and although RGB mods for UK N64s are much harder to come by, it would show RGB picture. Well, let's show what it looks like with the smoothing on for the Nintendo 64, and I actually think this is one instance where the smoothing actually looks pretty good. I think it's because the Nintendo 64 naturally gives you a slightly blurred image because there's that filter the N64 applies to the 3D graphics, which smooths them out a little bit, that it actually looks pretty good when you add that little smoothing on and the jagged lines are less visible. It's kind of slight, but it is notable enough that I think it looks pretty good. I still would say I prefer seeing the image from the console unmodified, but it is there if you would like the option, and it doesn't look bad. So let's have a look at RGB SCART from my GameCube through the HD video converter. Now this footage here kind of looks pretty dark for Resident Evil 3, and that's not a metaphor, it is very dark. I have applied the same levels of brightness to all of the clips, and it does seem that particularly from the GameCube, from direct RGB SCART capturing from the HD video converter, converting from SCART to HDMI, you lose a lot of quality from the picture, which is a shame because RGB SCART on a CRTV looks absolutely fantastic, but here the video is kind of blurry. There's actually a little bit of ghosting in the movement. I think the HD video converter is interpreting the video perhaps as interlaced, and it's really doing some bad stuff to the visuals. So let's have a look at the RAD2X detecting RGB and showing that on the capture to my Elgato HD60S, and as you can see immediately the colors look much more vibrant, it's much brighter, and it just looks a lot more clear and a lot sharper as well. The video is very sharp, it's not soft at all. You can really tell if you look at the text from demo in the corner of the screen, or the main title when that comes up, that it is a lot sharper, the edges are much more defined, and overall it just looks absolutely fantastic. It looks exactly as I would like to see it. Much better quality for live streaming and recording, which is exactly what I'm after. Now I do have to mention that I have RGB from my Nintendo GameCube because it is a UK PAL GameCube. And as we turn on smoothing on the cable here to see what that looks like, I'd just like to inform you that American Nintendo GameCubes, the best they can do is S-Video, which is not supported by this cable, but it will still support composite video, which it will line double like it did with the Nintendo 64. So it will still work, it just won't look quite this good, although you could get your system RGB modded, which I would like to do for my Nintendo 64. Now it's because my system has RGB SCART and it looks so good with the RAD2X, which is why I went for the RAD2X cable and not one of those American cables that uses S-Video instead, because it wouldn't work for my GameCube at all. But this one works with all Nintendo systems with a multi-AV out. So the smoothing might not be my cup of tea, but the RAD2X is. And that's it. That's a look at the RAD2X Nintendo HDMI cable. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what you see, please leave a like or a comment to let me know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content. And if you'd like to, you can also support me through Patreon or YouTube channel membership. Thank you for watching. I've been MVL, and I will catch you next time.